Oh, bummer.
So it was just absolute craziness. And, I just had to start a new one. And, once you're, I'm never on Facebook now because I don't want to like reinvest back in that platform.
Right. No, not the platform to invest in anymore. No.
And for everybody jumping in, we were chatting about my Facebook account. I lost my Facebook account to a hacker. So if you have Facebook and if there's pictures that from like are, almost 2 decades old now, make sure you go back up those photos. That was the worst part about losing my Facebook account was like, saying goodbye to all those photos. Have you were you talking to me, Alexis, and you couldn't see my
No,
face?
no, I was just listening. I can see you.
Sorry about that. I always try to take myself off. It's
Oh,
those things that I should be doing, but just the craziness
I don't
of it.
know. I was just making sure that everybody at least knew to back up their Facebook photos today.
Yep, back up your Facebook photos. But anyways, now that we're past the Facebook photos and the backing them up, I am just so excited that Alexis is going to be here to share because here's one of the things, like the LinkedIn algorithm has absolutely changed over the past few years. And I'll just say this. I've been on LinkedIn since I think 2004. I was one of those grumpy old dogs like, why is LinkedIn changing? It's about me posting those jobs. It's recruiters are the ones that are like pay all like to make LinkedIn all this money. But you know what I had to learn? Sometimes change with the times. And even though I've been recruiting for almost like 2 decades, I had to learn and step up my content game because the algorithm is rewarding the recruiters. And I know recruiters that are doing it right. I know recruiters that are like with their firms pulling in millions a year with 40% of their business coming from LinkedIn and like coming inbound because they've figured out the content game. And I know Alexis is one of the best, so I'm so excited for her to share with you guys. So I'll go ahead and let you kick it off in 1 second. The first thing I need to do is also make sure I actually set the chat up right. So real quick, drop in the chat where you are based out of just to make sure that I got it set up right. So I'm not getting a bunch of stuff like, there we go. Okay, cool. And if you want to like connect with other recruiters that are excited about growing, go ahead and drop your LinkedIn profile in there too. So Alexis, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday. Um, there we go. All right. Can everybody see my screen? Ben, give me a verbal yes, because I won't be able to see the chat right now.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I am so happy to be here today. I know how challenging just let me just move this. Okay. I know how challenging it can be to be on LinkedIn and know that you should have a presence here, but not know exactly what to do. And to do that thing where you go and you stare at the screen, and you're like, I know I need to post, I should be doing something. And I think that, not only is the strategy part challenging, but like the mental toil that we go through of that mind game of knowing that you should, but not knowing, does it work, does it not work? So I am here today to save you time. I'm here to save you mental space. I am here. You will get a downloadable PDF at the end of this. Like, I truly am all about action and a plan, and that is what you will get today. So I'm going to walk through our system with you so you know the right type of content to post that actually generates inbound leads, which is where it is at. We don't want you chasing leads all the time. Okay. So think right now where you are at. Obviously, I don't, you can put some things in the chat if you want. So are you the type of person that you are creating content consistently, no matter how busy you are? Are you A? Are you B, you create content randomly, mainly when you have time or you have some inspiration and you're like, yes, I need to like get this out there? Or C, don't create content. So kind of take a mental catalog of where are you currently at with LinkedIn and content. So, and then sub question, if you answered A or B, do you post more than just open roles? Or do you do more than just reshare other articles? And then do you create content that's really targeted towards your ideal client, your ideal audience, the ones bringing in revenue? Are you really creating content for them? So just let's figure out where you're starting so we can make sure that you have the best plan going forward. Really quickly, a little bit about me. I'm Alexis Mesky. I'm co-founder of Aura Marketing. Donnie Gupton is my business partner, and we have a digital done-for-you marketing agency, and it's built specifically for recruiters. We really take our recruiters' brilliance and our framework that I'm going to share with you today and produce your content in 1 hour a month. And what we do works really, really well. So I want you to know that like this is the world that we live in. So make sure you have your notes ready to take so you can copy our strategy. So I think that there's a common LinkedIn struggle. And this is the thing that I hear all the time from people. So the first one is that creating content takes too much time, right? My content isn't working. That's probably the ones that I hear frequently. I don't know what to create, or I'm good at recruiting, not marketing. And those are real struggles. And then the other one that I'm going to add that Benjamin started with is the algorithm seems to always be changing. So when you feel like you have something that kind of works, all of a sudden it feels like it doesn't work because things in the algorithm change. And that's a real common struggle. And I first of all want to outline and make sure that we have a fundamental understanding of what marketing is and is not. And it's really important that I outline this with you, okay? The goal of marketing is not obsessing over your metrics and only feeling successful when those numbers are high. I think it can really be a challenge, especially with the algorithm, to feel like success means something performed really well. And ultimately, I'm going to tell you that's not marketing. The goal of marketing is also not to create a brand that like looks really cohesive. So maybe you have somebody on your team, or maybe it's even you that has like your Canva graphics all lined in, they're dialed in, you put out a lot of things on there, and it looks really cohesive, but it's not yielding results. That is not marketing. That's not the goal of the kind of marketing that we create for our clients and that I want you to have. And I think it's really common to feel like, and I don't know where anybody's at here, but like maybe you have a person that's good at social media and that they're creating some things for you, and you feel like you're checking that marketing box, that you're really doing well. Or are they really, are you really getting results from those things? Or do you really just have that cohesive, pretty branded graphics look? And I want to make sure that we understand that all of those things are not necessarily marketing. Maybe they're content creation, but they're not marketing. So the goal of marketing is this. The goal of marketing is to generate inbound, consistent leads, a steady business flow, and increased annual revenue. That's the only kind of marketing that I'm interested in. Like, I think it'd be fantastic if I could just teach you to create content, but like, I want the content to actually generate revenue for you. And I want you to think about your content that way too. I want you to think of like, my goal of marketing is to do just that. So get out of the mindset of just, the impressions that make us give us like a little ego boost of the things that look a certain way. The measure of success of marketing should be, am I getting more inbound leads? Am I getting more sales calls? Are they warmer? And am I actually increasing revenue? So that's what I want to talk about today is the kind of content that does that. Great marketing should generate those inbound leads. It should warm your audience. It really should give people an experience of what it's like to work with you, that they really get a feel of who you are and what a working relationship would be like. It should also shorten your sales cycles and shorten your sales calls. And I'll say that this is the type of feedback that I hear all the time from our clients that, that they are getting more inbound leads. They're much warmer. And so those sales calls and the sales cycle can be a lot more shortened. So this is really the goal of great marketing. And I think that it's important for us to kind of dive into why great marketing matters in 2025. Um, Benjamin mentioned it too about, what he used to do on LinkedIn and now what's changed. I mean, I think in general, recruiters are a little bit antiquated in their marketing efforts and a little bit late to the game of modern marketing strategies. But I think that in 2025, one of the things that great marketing does and does really well is it gives people an experience of what it's like to work with you. And I know I mentioned that, but if somebody goes to your LinkedIn profile, they kind of get a preview of who you are. They get a preview of like the way you speak, possibly what your values are. And that's really important in this human-centered age. The other thing great marketing does, in this day and age is it builds that trust and connection. And it's especially important for your guys' industry because you are in such a human-centered industry. You are a human to human. Humans are your commodities. And so to give a human experience, I would argue is honestly even more important for recruiters and staffing agencies. And then the third thing is like it mirrors the way marketing is happening in the modern world, in other industries and other platforms. LinkedIn, I think we have this concept of it being like a hyper professional space, and it is. Like it is the most professional of the social platforms. That being said, it is still a social platform. I mean, that is still what it is. And I know some people have a hard time with that, which we'll talk about a little bit. But we need to mirror the way that other industries and other businesses are getting business in the right way on LinkedIn. And like, does this work? Like, does the system that we've created work for our clients? Like, uh, yes, the framework that I'm going to give you today has helped our clients massively grow, generate millions of dollars of revenue, increase their impressions, but like in order to increase their revenue. So this framework does really work. Okay, so here is our content conversion system. Ultimately, I want you to create content that does three things towards your target audience. So please note, this is not like a peer-to-peer thing. You talking about recruiting is not going to get you more clients. You talking only to candidates is also not only going to get you more clients. This is toward your target audience. There's some nuances in there for sure. But like ultimately, I want to position you as the leader. I want you to lead your target market. The second thing I want you to do is to serve them. And I think that in general, the lead part is the one where recruiters, if you're creating content, we usually stick there. And that's good. But there's these two other pillars that I want you to add in. So serve, I want you to bring value to your audience, and then I want you to connect with your target audience. And here's the plan. Like I'm literally going to give you the plan for your content moving forward. Create one piece of content from each category every week. And truly, it can be as simple as that. So, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through the types of pillars. I'm going to share with you what they each are, give you some examples, talk through like what the goal of them is. So, you guys have some ideas under each category. And like I mentioned at the beginning, you're going to get a downloadable PDF after this that has everything laid out for you, reminders for you guys to follow so you can execute this on your own. Okay. The first one is the leadership pillar. So, what leadership does is the goal of leadership is to really position you as the trusted expert and authority so your target market looks to you first amongst all your competitors. So here's how we do the leadership pillar. You want to be the authority. So one of the things that you can do is share insights that demonstrate your expertise and insights, not just recycled industry talk. We want you to, share truth on trends, and I think that let me explain this nuance, okay? Sharing insights in your industry is one thing, reporting on them is one thing. But when you share your thoughts, your insights, like your truth on trends, that's how you position yourself as a leader. Otherwise, you're just a reporter, right? I mean, otherwise, you're just regurgitating information. If you want to position yourself as a leader, it's about doing things like addressing real hiring challenges, client mistakes, industry shifts with bold and honest takes. And then I think it's important to note this, you guys, that we all have very different personalities and we're all very different humans. And so it's very important for us to find a path that is leadership, but also stays true to who we are as humans and then in totality, like who we are as a brand. So being bold and like honest and maybe a little edgy, that's not everybody's brand. And I think that it's incredibly important before we even move on with like the other leadership parts to really identify that this is a framework, but you need to find your brand identity in that. We have some clients that do say things that are bold and edgy, and they get edgy pushback too, but like there is no doubt that they are a leader. And then there's some people that have like a quieter, softer way to them, and to try to be that bold presence would be totally untrue to who they are as a human and as a brand. And so you have to make sure that you're really in this pillar thinking about who are you as a leader and who is true to you as a leader. For you to try to be like the next, Alex Hermosi, for example, when like that is not true to who you are at all, will only yield in a brand that doesn't get great results. So it's I think it's great to get inspiration from other people, but ultimately the real work is identifying who we are as a brand, and especially in this leadership pillar. It's not about adopting someone else's style, it's about being true to who you are. Um, Staking your claim. So, what is like the biggest problem in your market? Because if you talk about those things, it's positioning yourself as the one to solve them, as a leader, as somebody who's willing to talk about them. And then showing proof of success, letting the results that you have, speak for themselves, talking about placements and wins and long-term hiring success. Those things do build your credibility. I think that this is where that specifically is a content pillar that probably a lot of people do share about. And I'll just give you kind of a tip here. One of the things that I see people doing wrong here is talking all about themselves, which, like, okay, yes, Alexis, that would make sense because I'm telling you to talk about your placements and your successes. But there's such a minor shift. If you shift a lens here a little bit to talk about it from like, what was the problem? What solution did you offer? What success did they have? As opposed to what I did and what keeping the I out of it. Huge difference. Like that's a minor thing that I think everybody can implement. So yes, I do want you to show proof of your success, but try to keep it client or audience focused. And then like thought leadership. So outdated things, fresh ideas, shifting how people think, and making sure that like, you do feel like you can share those things because people want to know that you have that authority and are thinking about those things. So, like a few examples, we really do focus on video, and so I can't put video examples in here, but like just a few different things. So, like the employee is the influencer. Maybe the people you hired for rapid growth are not the right people to bring to the next chapter. Talking about biosecure acts, things going on in your industry, things that are important to focus on. So, those are types of examples of leadership-based content. And so when we do this part right, people trust your expertise. You become that go-to authority in your space. And then you also do prove your success. Your results speak for themselves. Like, why should I listen to you before they even ask? Because you're positioning yourself in that way through your content. And then you become the solution. So clients and candidates see that you understand and empathize with their challenges and know how to solve them. So that is really the leadership pillar. So next, I want to talk about service because this one is incredibly, incredibly important. I don't know if people struggle with this one or connect more, but I want to lay out the framework to help you with the service pillar. So what this one does is this builds authority from delivering value, not only promoting what we're doing or not only selling. And the more you help with your clients' pain points, the more that you lead. I don't know how you personally feel, but one of the things that I hear a lot from prospects and clients is they really struggle with selling and they don't like to create material and content that sells. And I don't know where you're at. Maybe there's a blend. Maybe some of you are where you're at on that spectrum. But I think the beautiful thing about the service pillar is that it wipes out that objection because you do get to focus on serving, on helping, on supporting. And for those of you that may be a little bit more timid with that sales part of it or selling part, this is a pillar that you can focus on that really does deliver value in a way that still does, talk about your authority and present yourself as the leader. So here's how you do this one. You want to deliver real value. So share content that educates and empowers, and it gives your target audience something that they can actually use. Like you're actually delivering value here. Solve real problems. So, what are some of the biggest hiring or job search challenges, and what are some clear, actionable tips and solution that you can give to your target audience? Really positioning yourself as the trusted resource. So showing up consistently with insights that make decisions easier, that really help support things for your clients and your candidates. And, leading that service. So when you focus on that helping, people see you as the recruiter that they want in their corner. And before I move on to a couple examples, I think that one of the reason why this can be a challenge is people don't think that they have good ideas, or they think that you take for granted the expertise, knowledge, and value that you actually have because you're just so used to saying it all the time and over again. Like you don't think of that as much as value. But if I were to challenge you for 1 week after every call that you had with a prospect, with a client, with a candidate, maybe even somebody in your industry, if you were to take notes on those for 1 week, I guarantee you would have a plethora of service-based content. And you're going to realize the value, the tips, the things that you actually say. And then you really start to think about some of the commonalities. And those are the things that should really guide your service pillar. So, some examples here, three things must do's to retain your team, high impact tips for your resume, how to forecast and plan for success in 2025, ideas on how to create referral programs, how to optimize your LinkedIn profile specifically for your niche. Another thing here is anytime that you can think of anything in like listicle form, so like one, two, three, these steps, that's really helpful. And people really like I'll just give you like an algorithmic tip. People really like things when they're listed out here. So when we do this pillar right, you become that go-to resource. Clients and candidates see you as the expert, as the expert guide. And then you lead with that service, not just sales. So your audience knows that you're here to help, not just close deals. It really creates a great connection. And then you stand out from the competition because your competition, if they are creating content, many of them may just stick to that leadership part, even though they may not be doing that part, right, if you will. But you really stand out because it sets you apart because you're willing to give value. Okay, finally, we have the connect pillar. So connect, what it does is people don't hire businesses, they hire people they trust, especially in your industry. And so connection really builds that credibility and it keeps you top of mind. Before I dive in here, I realize that one of the large objections on LinkedIn is people think that it's becoming too personal. And the only thing I have to say to that is too bad. Like it is. It absolutely is becoming more personal. And what's helping clients perform optimally is this connection pillar. I mean, I look at stats month after month, and then I obviously track the growth for our clients. This pillar, the success would not work in the same way if we did not have this connection pillar. But let me explain it. I don't want you to run and be afraid of this pillar. Let me explain what I kind of view in this connect pillar. So, um, I'm sorry, I have the wrong title up there. So for the connection pillar, how you do this is you want to be authentic, but I would like to say professionally authentic. So this really is about showing your audience who you are, your personality, your values, and what makes you different. What it is not is a space for you to air all of your deepest, darkest challenges and, root issues. And that's not what the connection pillar is. And I would advise you that that would probably hurt your brand, like at least long term. So it is about being authentic, but professionally authentic. And it's about making it personal. So sharing experiences and insights that highlight your unique perspective and approach. The other thing here is, um, I think a lot of people think of marketing and content as like broadcasting information and waiting for everyone to come, and that's the way marketing works. And it does not work that way. It does not work that way in today's day and age. You need to engage and not just broadcast and not just take. Like you need to give and not just take. So it's important that, and beyond the content creation for the connection pieces, start conversations, respond, build relationships with your audience, dialogue, give also in their content. And it's about creating that connection. It's not just content. So let people see what it's like to work with you before they ever reach out. I think for this pillar, there's things about me that, and I would guess that if you look at the brands that you really like following, you would know those things about certain people. There's certain things that you know about people. Like I talk about my grandma a lot, who's 107 years old, still lives on her own. She's like such an important part in my life, but like what I've learned through her, right? There's certain parts that I talk, I'm a mom of three, a 20-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 17-year-old. And there's parts about like parenting and journey that I do share. I'm not sharing a large majority of those things, but there's parts that people know about me. Most people know that I'm a mom. Most people know that I have a big family. And those types of things speak to my values and what I care and what I care about in relationships. And so it's about selecting some things that are important to share in your brand because they showcase the deeper side of who you are. So just a few examples here, like what greatest mentors taught you, journeys from Italy to Ellis Island, building your business on the concepts of paying it forward. Simple things, you guys, like books that you're enjoying. I mean, truly, like those are types of things that people love dialoguing about. Thought leadership, about growing, growth lies outside of comfort zone, but like, why is that important? Why did you learn it? And really sharing like the human side of your brand. And when we do this connection pillar right, we do build that authenticity, and people trust you because they see the real person behind the business. And your brand becomes more memorable. You stand out because people connect with who you are and not just what you do. I mean, depending on your niche, there's probably a sea of other people in your niche, and people do not remember parts about your process. They don't remember like little nuances, like about how you do things differently, but they do remember these. It's like breadcrumbs. Like they remember these are the things that really stand out and that position you in a different way. And then your engagement grows. I mean, the more relatable you are, the more people interact with and respond to your content. And I know that I talked in the beginning about how impressions, we can't focus on those as a metric of a success. And I 100% stand by that. But it is important to there are parts of the algorithm that we do want to play into in order so the professional things grow, so more people see your content and you do generate more leads and more revenue. And when we post the personal things, we do get to create dialogue. Those are the things that do tend to perform better because humans want to connect with humans. And so it helps all of the other aspects of your content and your framework. And then it humanizes your brand. People don't just want to see that recruiter. They really do want to see a partner that they can work with and trust to help them solve their problems. So those are the three pillars of the framework. I am going to have time for questions, but there's some things that like I would say are my hot tips that I like can't help but sharing, that are slightly, in the sphere, but I want everybody to please take notes of these things. Number one question I get asked is, do we post on a personal page or a business page? Post on your personal page. I mean, at this day and age, my guess is when I ask this question, are there many business pages that you are obsessed with and that you love following? My guess is the answer to that is no. And I'm not saying don't post on your business page at all, but like humans want to connect with humans. That's the phrase I would say over and over here. So I would suggest posting on your personal page. And if you like are hell bent on posting on your business page, do not do a repost strategy where you just repost everything over there. That kind of gives this indicative tone of like this isn't as important. That's why I'm just reposting it. What you can do though, if I what I suggest with our clients is that you can post content over there like 2 weeks later, cycle it so there's like a level of fresh nature to it. And again, I'm not talking about reposting or reposting with your thoughts. I'm talking about fully uploading it in its own kind of way. I would also like to say that I have a marketing agency. Donnie and I do. We have a business page. We don't post on our business page like we did for a while. And like, it's just not important to us. We generate business off of our personal pages. So I don't think it's necessary. So go all in on your personal page. The number one thing that you can do with your content before you create anything is always, always, always keep your ideal clients in mind. Make your content about them, not about you. Think about holding up a mirror to them. How can you reflect what they need to hear, what they want to hear, what they are struggling with? So, with everything that you create, really try to focus on your ideal clients. One of the tips, if we're talking about algorithm that's working really, really well, is adding a personal photo to a non-professional, I'm sorry, a personal photo to a professional post. So if I was talking about my framework, adding a random personal photo. And I know that that's a huge challenge for a lot of people. And I don't mean a headshot. I don't mean something professional. I mean something personal and casual, whether that's like a selfie or a picture that somebody's taken of you or a picture of something outside, a vacation spot, just something, you guys, like especially when you're talking about things that maybe are not quite as interesting, you can kind of play that up by adding a personal photo. And I mean, again, I track metrics month after month for many different clients. This is one of the things that really boosts the algorithm's view of something like that. The next tip is create various forms of media. So you do need to diversify. And I'll tell you right now, what's working and what's not working. Longer form, I don't know when the last time I had a client that had longer form content that was a top performer for their content. So what I mean by that, even like article, I think we have this mindset like we need blogs and articles. And I'm not saying there's not a place for that, but in regards to like content creation and brand, I'm going to stick to that. It's not what's performing well. Any long form written posts are not performing well. Short form is where it's at. So I would say shorter text posts, and then by all means add a personal photo to help it. Um, PDFs or carousels, the ones that you scroll, that you upload on LinkedIn as a document, in case anybody has not been able to figure that out. Um, you know, those like really had a moment last year. I feel like last year those were some of the top performers. I think algorithmically they're not performing quite as well, but I still think that they're great resources. So I do think that there's a place for them. The other thing is if you are going to do video, keep it 30 seconds to a minute and a half. Longer form video does not perform well on LinkedIn. And the other thing too is like be direct. And if you, I mean, you should be doing video. Like that is one of the top performers and it gives people the best experience of what it's like to work with you. But like keep it direct. Like don't go into a whole like, so today you guys I really want to talk with you. Something that keeps coming up, like get to the point, like get direct right off the bat. Say what you need to say and keep it shorter. That performs much, much better. Um, and then, a branded graphic. And what I mean by that is like, let's say it's a photo of you, it's your background color, it's the logo with like a quote. I mean, those are good. But I would say in regards to like top performers right now, short form video, and then a shorter text post with a personal photo are top performers right now. I would say underneath that would be carousel posts and then a a quote like a text with a graphic, and then last would be like longer form. So I'm letting you know, like right now, that could literally change next week, by the way. So don't hold me to this for that long, but like that's what I'm noticing cyclically is going on with our clients' performance. Um, in regards to um, what you guys should be doing, the give and the take, you need to engage with other people. Like number one, it's the right thing to do, if I may. It is the right thing to do to not just be a taker, to not be selfish. Like engage with other people's content, please. The other thing that that does is it makes you more visible with the algorithm. So like if I'm saying the selfless part of it, which you should be doing it with because that's the right thing to do, the selfish part of it is it does help your content become more visible and get more traction. Ultimately, you guys, LinkedIn wants you to engage with other people before you post and then engage after you post. Like best practices really is to like be on the platform for like at least 15 before. Think of it as like your warm-up exercises. And then you get out there and you post, and then you're like doing your cool down exercise, if you will. So really playing in that way and engaging with other people and building relationship. And then consistency. This has never changed. Consistency is really important. Now, what this means for everybody is different. I don't mean like consistent as in everybody should be posting every single day. I don't think that that's realistic. And I think if I told you that, you might do that for like a week or two and then you drop off and then you realize it's too challenging and you're not going to do it. But what you can be doing, like set a goal for yourself. And like I already laid out the plan for you, which is basically 3 posts a week, once a week in regards to the pillars. If you did that consistently, pick your plan and do that consistently. That's what I'm talking about here. So pick something that feels digestible for you and then stick to that plan. And then my other tip that I already gave you before, use those conversations, the interactions, the dialogue. That is the root of your content. It is the most current. It is the most, the realest thing that you have happening are those things. And that really should be the root and the framework and the core of the content that you are creating. I am going to do Q&A. I see people have some stuff in the chat, so we'll definitely get to those. Or I don't know, Ben, if like you're calling them out to me, whatever the form is, I will get to your questions. And so if you guys start having questions about these tips, these fillers, go ahead and put them in the chat and we can get to them. Like I said, I have a downloadable guide for you guys at the end of this. And then Donnie and I are also running a magnetic recruiter workshop April 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It's $97. And then for everybody today, we have a 50% off for that, which this will be but the code is Save My Seat 50. But we're going to be working on mindset things during that time because there's so much mindset stuff that comes up when we actually start to put our brand out there and then laying our pillars and our framework out with digestible ideas for you. And it's like actually a workshop where you are going to be creating content for you guys to post. But I would love to get to any questions that you guys have around content, around algorithm, around lead generation, and make sure that I answered those. So I am going to do a stop share. I'm going to open the chat and I'm going to put up that code and everything later in the downloadable PDF. So let me just get to some of these.
If you
Okay.
head over to the Q&A
Yeah.
button,
Oh, great. Oh, perfect. Oh, lovely. Thank you, Benjamin. Okay. Um, will you show examples of each post that you mentioned? Samantha, I'm assuming that you oh, let's see. Did you mean like the carousel versus video versus those type of things? Yes. Okay. Um, yes, I can show you examples of that. Give me a second. Let me do this and then I can pull up some examples of those for you if we still have time, but absolutely. Um, Three-part question, Jill. Should you be posting at the same time for your 3 days per week? Okay, great question. Um, Here's what I say about timing. And like, I can Google this. I can ask AI this question every day, and I'm going to get a specific answer. I can also analyze my clients' metrics every month and try to decipher. And I will tell you, I have found no rhyme or reason on like, yes, Tuesdays at 9 is the time or Wednesdays. I just cannot find that to be true or accurate, if I'm being really honest with you. What I like to say, and I think that this keeps this like as easy as possible is post content when you feel like your target audience might be the most active. So usually that's going to be before lunch-ish. I mean, people are more active in the mornings. And then like think about your time zones. Like when are people going to be active? I have found that like usually anytime after lunch, like into the evening, like people are checking out of LinkedIn. They're not going to be as active. That being said, there's like weird outliers to that. But my answer to that would be post post when people are the most active. And I personally have found no consistency with the fact of basically like you need to post at the same time every day. But like maybe think about your time frame. Like, yeah, I know like 8 to 9 is usually when most people are active. I'm going to post around there. So yeah, that answers question two. Is there a time of day that's better to post? I would just say when people are most active and like don't put out your great content when people are checking out of LinkedIn. Like the less eyes, the less traction they're going to get and the less visibility. And then should you engage with other people's comments 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after? Yeah, I mean, 30, great. I just even start at 15. I mean, sometimes I think our time on LinkedIn, like to really devote an hour of full focus LinkedIn is kind of a lot. That's why a lot of us kind of diversify our time during the day. So I would even say, let's say 15 to 30 before you post, and then you post, stay engaged 15 to 30 afterwards, and like pay attention. I mean, the other thing is if somebody comments and engages, you do want to engage back. The quicker you engage back, the more visibility your content is going to get. Okay. For the warm up, cool down for engagement with other people's posts, how does that work with scheduled posts? Oh, that's a really good question. Um, First of all, I want to say, you guys, if you're going to pre-schedule your post, do that in LinkedIn, which you can do now. They rolled that out X months ago. Before you used to have to do it on something else, like, what another platform. Now that LinkedIn has that, make sure you're scheduling it in LinkedIn. LinkedIn wants you to do that. Play in their space. Like, don't schedule on other platforms. And yeah, I would just say, like, be conscious of like if you know that post was scheduled for 9, still engage around that time before and after. It's kind of like the one downside to pre-scheduled things, but they're not going to get as much traction if you just put them out there in the world and you don't engage. And like I also just want to reemphasize what I'm saying. Getting much traction, we want visibility that leads to leads and sales. It's not just about the numbers that make you feel like it was a top performing post. So I just want to clarify that again. For someone just starting out, how do I suggest staying organized? Do you write these directly on LinkedIn and saved? Do you have an Excel sheet to make sure you're hitting each pillar? I would say that the PDF that I'm going to give you guys has pillars. that you can use, and you can dump content ideas under there. That is something that we offer in the workshop that we're going to be doing in our framework. I have a really detailed Excel sheet that I give clients that's simple, but like that is detailed. But what I would do is even if you're an Excel sheet person, which it seems like maybe you are, maybe create one for the lead, serve, and connect. And then as you have those conversations during the week and like an idea pops up, go dump it in there. You don't need to create the content then, but dump it. Um, I I go through, if I'm being honest, I mean, obviously I have a marketing agency. I create content just about every day, weekday. Sometimes I pre-plan things, like, and I mean, I know my framework, but sometimes I pre-plan and post. But I kind of tend personally to keep a little, I like to keep a little pulse as to what's going on. And so I usually don't pre-schedule. I kind of think about the conversations that I've had in, and then I use my content and then I post the day of. That's just how I do it. But if you're just starting out, I might have that data bank of ideas and know like, all right, Tuesdays I'm going to do lead, Wednesdays serve, three or Thursday connect, and then stick to that kind of idea, and then run that framework. Um, if you are in the beginning phase of posting and you do not get good traction, does LinkedIn flag that? I'm a little confused as to what you mean by flag that. Um, I'm trying to think exactly what you mean. Maybe put it in the comments, if you don't mind, because I'd like to be able to answer that specifically. Um, if you don't get, does LinkedIn flag that? I mean, I'm going to try to answer this maybe inferring. Um, oh wait, hang on. Okay. Um,
Maybe it might be like, I know there's some other social media sites that if you're just getting started posting, like they make your stuff get pushed out pretty hardcore. I
oh, okay.
know TikTok does that. I don't think LinkedIn does that. I
No.
think LinkedIn rewards consistency more than that.
Okay. Thank you for that clear. Because when I think flagged, flag in LinkedIn is like penalty, right? So I was like, hold on, why would they be penalizing you? And maybe that is what you meant. So yeah, I mean, Benjamin, no, they're not gonna, that's not what they do. Like, you're right. Like some of the other platforms that may be like, ooh, new user account, new whatever. That's not what LinkedIn does. I think that, it's going to take time to get traction and comments, which feeds the impressions, right? Which it feeds your visibility, which then feeds like getting your eyes and getting your content in front of the right eyes in your audience. And yes, I would say just think of it. I mean, I know we use like workout analogies like endlessly, but like you kind of just got to get your reps in. Like you got to just start going. And I think that this is where the mindset stuff is so important. I don't know how many of you guys were on Donnie's summit last week, but if you weren't, go back to some of those concepts because we can really get in our head as humans here. And this is really where, like, all right, I'm going to do it. I know that I should. This is right. And you start putting yourself, your brand, your content out there. You're investing energy, you're investing the mental space to do it. And then if you don't get, the right traction or comments, it can feel really discouraging. And then that's when we get in our head, we question ourselves, like those types of things come in. And I want to remind you, it is about a long-term game. I mean, this is about your success long term. And it's incredibly important to make sure that you are just being in the right headspace of like, I have value to share. I have things that I know can support other people. I love what I do. I like my values and my principles behind my business, and I want to keep growing my brand so I can be able to support other people. And when you have the right kind of mindset, it's going to help stabilize you for the times that you don't feel as quote unquote successful on LinkedIn. But just a reminder, I mean, even still, we have clients that seriously grow revenue and do incredible things, and we can still all get in our heads. I mean, I recently had a situation where somebody said something really unkind on LinkedIn. I mean, really aggressively unkind on LinkedIn, and it started this whole thing. And it's very easy to get in your head, but like you cannot let that be the thing that holds you back, or you will always be held back. So just start somewhere and keep moving forward with that. Um, yes, the workshop link. Let me go back to sharing my screen, and then I'll still open my Q&A if there's if there are other questions that you want to put in there to answer. Okay, so scan this code. This code does have the workshop link. It also has the downloadable PDF for you. In that PDF, I kind of put all the tips that I talked about. I put the pillars of the framework with different types of ideas underneath it for everybody, and then kind of like a quick action list at the bottom. Just a reminder, it's a doc, so make sure that you save a copy. I'm sorry, make a copy of it. It's not an editable document, so make your own copy of that. And then so that you can follow me on LinkedIn. I am one of those people like I love helping, I love supporting. Like, but if you don't follow me on LinkedIn already, follow me, send me a connection request, ask me any questions. I would love like if you have any deeper dive questions. I know I probably didn't get to the examples of the different types of content here, the carousels, the articles, whoever that was, I think Samantha maybe, if you want to send me a message on LinkedIn, I'll kind of send you a video walking you through what those things are. But I truly am here to support. If you have quick questions, I would love to answer them for you. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can visit our website. That's all in the QR code. Let me make sure these are not questions for me. Okay, great. Thank you, Benjamin, for putting that in. Yes, Samantha. Yes, go ahead. Oh, emojis, Megan. I'm sorry. Ben, you're probably like, you don't need to answer all these questions. Um, Use them minimally because that's a chat GPT flag. So use the emojis minimally. Um, because right now that's like a flag for like I created this all on chat GPT. So anyways, and then don't forget, you guys, for the workshop, our code for 50% off is Save My Seat 50. So make sure that you snap that code. If anybody forgets it, just go ahead and send me a message on LinkedIn, and then I'd be happy to share it with you again. And just for the attendees today. Um, any other final questions that you have for me?
Somebody asked was it 8 to 9 a.m. for peak posting times? Also, what was the one LinkedIn post strategy that you said that does not work?
Um, Posting times, you guys, I gave that suggested time of 8 to 9 a.m. I will say, like I just emphasize, it's when your ideal audience is probably using LinkedIn. So you kind of need to get in their heads and think about their patterns and then test it out. So like maybe try, and depending on your time zone too, right? Like I work with clients nationally, so I have to think I'm on Pacific Daylight Time. I have to think about my time versus when other people are on. So just think about all those things and then trial it. That's what I would say. So like if you think like, yeah, I think that people are going to probably be like 8 to 9, maybe try it for 8 to 9 for a week. Next week, try it 7 to 8-ish, see what performs better, and then just go from there. Please don't overthink that one though. I promise it's not going to be the game changer in your overall success. And then the types of LinkedIn posts that are not performing well are long form written posts or long form written posts, I would say, are the worst. And then if you're doing video, which I think everybody should be doing video, we'll talk about that in the workshop on how to even do it on your own without like going full scale. So we will be talking about that. But if you're doing video, not long form video, like that's more of like YouTube, but like quick tips, 30 seconds to a minute and a half on LinkedIn. Um, Ben, was there anything else that I should cover? Having trouble
Uh,
with the scan?
Somebody couldn't scan it, so I told them to send me or you a message
Yeah.
on LinkedIn and we'll get it
Yep.
to you.
Perfect. Great.
Somebody said, can you briefly go through the flags once again?
The flags. Do you mean the content pillars?
Maybe.
If you meant something else, please put it in the chat and Ben can just stop me. And Benjamin, you can tell me if that's not what they meant. But the content pillars, if that's what you were referring to, is the leadership pillar, um, the service pillar, and the connection pillar. So you want to position yourself as a leader to your audience, you want to serve your audience, and you want to connect with them. And in the doc that I have for you, I outline those three pillars again and tell you what those are with different examples. So that's going to be in the doc that everybody's getting. Anything else, Benjamin, that people are asking?
Somebody was, mention emojis are a flag
Like our emo
in
you mentioned
LinkedIn,
it.
like emojis on LinkedIn.
So wondering if there are other. Yeah,
You said earlier that emojis are now a flag for AI
I'm
generated
sorry. Let
content.
let me be really clear on what I meant by that, you guys. Because if you use ChatGPT or another source to create content and really don't edit and throw it up there like the majority of people do, ChatGPT is going to create content that has a ton of different emojis in it. So when people post content like that on LinkedIn, the audiences view that as like that's just a ChatGPT post and don't pay attention to it and are not going to engage. It doesn't get good traction. So audiences view that as like a flag for like they just probably threw that up using Chat GPT. I don't mean that LinkedIn necessarily is penalizing emojis. I would just say that overuse of them usually makes people feel like that's just a Chat GPT post. Does that clear that up? Hopefully.
Somebody said, I totally agree with you, Ben, on emojis. Rest in peace.
I know.
ChatGPT ruined my usage of emojis.
I know. It's really sad. I have a classic few that I still use, like the check marks. Like there's some that but I know it's disappointing. I'm sad that they ruined it for us too.
Oh, well, that's a sad face emoji. Well, real
Oh,
quick, few different things before we get wrapped up, since I think we hit all the questions. Make sure to follow Alexis, connect with her on LinkedIn. She'll also work on getting anything out like she said she was going to. Also, if any of the speakers have made an impact on you over the last 7 days, make sure to send them a message. Send them a LinkedIn message and be like, I can't, like, what you told me, I'm going to implement so that way I could just rock this year. And I'm adding it to my desk because I'm excited about the change. And lastly, for everybody that has gone VIP for the replays, the prices go up at the very end of the session, the next session or the last session. So as soon as the session's over, the prices go up. So, but I just want to say a huge thank you for everybody partaking this week. I was telling Alexis this, and I haven't tracked today's watch hours and times, but recruiters have spent 2,347 hours watching the summit. So you guys are excited about growing. You guys are excited about, rocking your desk and rocking the air. So excited that Alexis was able to share with you guys.
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm truly, you guys, I know this framework works and I love plans, strategies, so you don't just waste time thinking. So make sure that you go and get that doc and use it. Like it will help support you in your content. I think it'll unlock something completely different for you.
Awesome. And we'll give you guys a quick break before the last two sessions of
Gosh.
Rock the Year. I'm going to cry when this is over. It's been such an awesome week.
That's so wonderful. Thank you guys all for coming. I really appreciate your attentiveness.
Bye, guys. See you soon.
Bye.